So today I'm going to run you through how to do data management on a television commercial. 95% of the time you'll be given these lacy rugged drives. That's no worries, that's sort of the gold industry standard. You need to label your drives, so I do specific very graphic labels here. A yellow border to indicate that it's the rushes drive, and then a red border here to indicate that it's the backup drive. I also include the job number in bold, and then I include the job name, and then have the client logo and the production company logo. You can also use a Dymo labeler or a P-Touch labeler and label them up individually like that, but I found like you're going through too much label making tape, costs too much, takes too much time. It's just easier to do this and it looks really good. First thing what I do is when I get given the drives from production is I'll plug them up into the computer. I always plug in one at a time so that you can be sure each drive indicates what's actually showing up on the computer. So I'm going to plug up this one here, which I've pre-labeled as Rushes Drive 01. Just plug it in via Thunderbolt. And then you'll see here it'll come up in this realm on my desktop. Now here it is, Lacy Setup. Most times productions will get you a new hard drive and they'll be called Lacy Setup and it'll be all sweet as, ready to go. But a lot of the times they might give you second-hand drives and you need to check first that it's safe to format and clear the footage off there if they've recycled, used it on another job, etc. And anytime if I get second-hand drives or I get new drives, I'll always go into disk utility and I'll always format them. That way I can sign off that they're 100% for me. So this is the drive that I've just plugged in, which is my Rushes drive. First of all, I'm going to do is I'm going to erase, and then this is where I'll give the hard drive a name. Now I double check here and I use the details that I've done on my tags to match what I call the hard drive in the computer. So I call it by its job name, which is D159. This is a Toyota job, and then I'll put in little commas the job name there, and then I'll do a dash, and then all in capitals I'll write the drive name. I won't write Rushes Drive because it will get too long. I just write Rushes 01, and I always make sure I put 01 because you never know when you might shoot over a terabyte, roll over onto the next drive, shoot another terabyte there, roll over onto the next drive. So you always got to have a numerical indicator here to make sure that you're individually identifying each Rushes or backup drive. Now, the gold standard is macOS extended journaled. Format as that always, unless specifically requested otherwise. Other options like exFAT are also good, but yeah, everyone in the industry that I'm aware of uses Macs to cut most of the time. No offense to you PC guys out there. And yeah, you should just format as macOS extended journaled. And just make sure your GUID partition map. Now I've been having a few issues sometimes with disk utility ever since I updated to Sierra, so I just Apple A, Apple C that just in case something goes wrong. I'll erase the hard drive, it'll unmount, and then it gives me an error. It always gives me an error. So then I just hit erase, paste it in again, journaled, GUID partition map, and erase. So just let it roll through, erase, and then I'll sort out that hard drive there. And then my next step is going to be plugging up the backup drive and setting that up in a similar fashion. So when you format a new drive, it'll ask if you want to use it for Time Machine backup. Just hit don't use, and then click done. And then you can see now we've got our Rushes drive here. Then what we do is I'm going to plug up my second drive. This one I'm going to plug in through USB 3 just to be different. And then I just like to position them back here behind the laptop, out of the way, laid out nicely, really organized. Then you can see this one's come up, Lacy Setup. Repeat a similar process, select the drive, erase. I can use my previously named thing, just paste it in there, and then I change it to backup 1. Apple A, Apple C, OS X extended journal, GUID partition map, erase. Now I'm expecting an error again here, done, erase, paste again, second one. Some people like to call it Rushes and Master, or Master and Backup, and a few different things like that. For me, I always call it Rushes drive and a backup drive. The backup drive goes to the production company, the Rushes drive goes to the editor. Again, don't use Time Machine backup, done, close. Then you can open up your two drives like this, and I always like just to position them in this fashion. And I just scoot this one a little bit down, scoot this one a little up. Now, the first thing that you should do is run a Blackmagic speed disk speed test on each drive. So I have mine set for 5 gigabytes. Select target drive, go down here, that first drive, and hit start. And then I'll start doing the disk speed test here. And then now this first run that you get is always a little bit iffy because the drive's warming up, getting up to speed, all that sort of thing. So I always let this process run through twice, like the write and the read happen twice. You can see I'm getting about 100 megabytes per second, reads about 111. See, this time around getting about 105, so that's about right. With Lacy Rugged drives, they're running 5600 RPM drives inside, so you should be expecting in the realm of 100 to 110 megabytes per second for your read and your write. So I'm just going to stop the test there. I've tested the rushes drive. Now I select target drive and I select the backup drive, open, and I start running. Just to run that out, again, see it's starting off around 59, 58, then it slowly builds up. It's just the drive getting up to speed. That's completely normal operation. See, that maxes out 95, and I'm like, well, that's not that good, but watch it this next time round, it'll boot back up, and it'll be sitting at about 100, 105, 110. You get a few peaks here and there. Completely normal. Okay, so now that I've run this process, I know my rushes drive and my backup drive's working perfectly. Sometimes you'll get Lacy Ruggeds that they come fresh new out of the box and you won't get good speeds from the Thunderbolt connection. So as a troubleshooting step, I go through USB 3. They shouldn't do that, but they sometimes do. Stop the test, close Blackmagic speed test. Now, the best way to lay out your entire desktop is going to be like this. So I use Shotput Pro for data management on commercials. You can also use SilverStack, but I find most of the time run and gun, fast stuff. Shotput's quick to set up, easy to use, does a really good job, so that's what I like to work with. Now, what I do here is, this is how I set out my windows. So I've got this set up in here, which is, it tells me the directory in the top here. An alternate way to do that is you can use the view and you can go show path bar, and that'll show your path down here so you know where you're looking, but I find that takes up too much screen space. The way you want to get that happening is you download a program called Onyx, and there's a specific Onyx version for each version of OS X or macOS these days. Let it boot up, and then it wants me to put in my password. No worries. Then you just hit agree, and then it wants to verify the structure of the disk. I'm just going to cancel for the sake of this tutorial. And then you click in parameters, and it'll read all the parameters of your computer here. And when that's finished happening, what you need to go is go Finder, and you can look down here, and it says, I forget where it is. Yes, here it is. Show the item path in window title. That means in this window title, it shows the path. If you untick that, which is the default of Mac OS X, it'll refresh it, and you don't see the path. So if you start creating folders like shoot day 1 and go into there, it just says you're in shoot day 1 and you have no idea what drive you're in. But if you have this selected, let it come into effect, it tells you backup drive shoot day 1, you know exactly where you are. Another hot tip is if you screen capture format, it defaults as PNG. I set it as JPEG because I find JPEG easier to work with. Anyway, you should set up Onyx like that. Quit it because we don't need it now. And that's done. So I'm going to go back here, back to my backup drive. I'll delete this. Now, how I set up my hard drives, everyone's got their own thing in terms of file structure. If it's a multi-day job, I set up a folder for each day, so shoot day 1. Inside the shoot day 1 folder, if you've got one camera, I just call it rushes, and then I'll make a folder called sound. Now, if you've got multi-cameras, I'll call this A cam, and I'll make a new one and call it B cam. Then I'll clean up by name, makes it all neat. Clean up this by name, copy it from the rushes drive to the backup drive, and you have two identical file directories. And then if you're going in for shoot day 2, you can just copy this, paste that, and rename it O2. Delete that. And I also have this set up on my desktop, which is shoot day XS, and it has that default structure in there. So if I'm doing a new job, I can just grab that, copy, paste, change that to O2, and you're good to go. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave it as in the shoot day 1 folder and set up Shotput. So always double check this. I use XX#64 checksums. I used to use SHA-512 as a gold standard, but when you started getting image sequence file formats like ARRI raw and things like that, SHA-512 was too slow. You need XX# to, because it individually checksums each single frame. So, but the last year or so I've been using XX# exclusively, and it's been 100% sweet as, and never had a problem. So I use that as my gold standard now. I like desktop notifications on. In here, I like to save a report with offload. I do a detailed report. I do a text and a PDF, and thumbnails I pop out with multiple. So that means it does like the first frame, last frame, and a few frames in between as a nice report at the end. And then that's your offload history. And if you just want to double check your full preferences, you can access all of those from File, Shotput Pro preferences, and there's also some hidden preferences here. You should have ignore hidden files and folders ticked, because sometimes hidden macOS X files, if you can't put write protect on a particular card, will write and it will error your offload, and I've had that a few times. So I always just leave that ticked. It's ticked in Shotput by default, so you should just leave that ticked. Close that, and then I basically go through and set up my offload presets. So I've already got these in here from other jobs, and I like to color code them, and then each new job I'll just reset it up. So I click the edit. For a camera, I have a prefix in here, and you hit reset. Some people like to use card name, but I use auto numbering. I'll show you why in a minute. I'll delete this, bam. And then I navigate to my rushes drive, shoot day 1, ACAM. And then I navigate to my backup drive, shoot day 1, ACAM. And I can double check that down here. It says rushes drive, backup. My fault, it should be pretty much identical except for rushes and backup. So that way you know it's going to 2 destinations. Then it tells me a preview of my card number. Now when you start getting up to card 10, it gets a bit funky, so then I'll just delete that one and it makes it A10, and then you're pretty much fine until you've shot 99 cards, which on a commercial you'll never shoot 99 cards. So I'll set that up. I'll set BCAM up, reset that, clear this off there from my previous job, and I'll set it up there, shoot day 1, BCAM, and add backup drive, shoot day 1, BCAM. Rushes backup, all there. It's going to call the first card B1, exactly what I want, close. And then I set up the sound preset. I reset that and clear this out. Shoot day 1, sound. Backup, shoot day 1, sound. And I call the sound card master folder card 01, and sound will usually give you a card at the end of each day. So I'll call for day 1's card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, and it's usually a card per day. So now I'm all set up. So what this allows you to do, I'm going to show you a test offload. So I've just got 3 cards here. They're just cards from my stills camera, Canon 6D. I don't think there's any movie shot on there. There might be a little bit, but that's fine. For this example, it's mainly just the process of wrangling. So I'll write protect any card. Some cards you can't write protect, like CFast cards and the like of that. Then I'll put it in my card reader on the computer, and you'll see it pop up here in the Shotput window. Now, most of the time you'll be dealing with Alexa footage, and you'll get your card number A001, all that sort of stuff in there. for this example, I don't have any Alexa cards here at the moment, so I can't show you that in the flesh, but we're just going to use this. So what I'll do is I'll make sure my A camera preset's done. This is an A camera card, and most of the time you'll have a little tag that says A001 that's partnered with the camera, A002, and whenever I have that on the card label, I'll peel that off and I'll put it on the card reader so I know what card is in the card label. You'll also notice that I have my exposed cards to the left, and when I've finished wrangling them and they're safely backed up, I move them to the right. I work from left to right, left to right. And that way it's just a flow through, and it makes me visualize it a bit better. It's in, out, just like you're writing, you know? And it just, I know if something's on the right, it's being copied. If it's on the left, it's exposed and it needs to be wrangled. It's just one of those fail-safe mechanisms for your mind, so that even when you're tired, you can still function, no worries at all. So with this card in, shows up on the desktop. Now what I do is, because I'm wrangling an A camera card, I like to go into my A camera folder on each of these, shoot day one, shoot day one, backup rushes. Then I copy the whole card always. So I drag in my card, tells me 729 megabytes, 226 items, no worries. Then I hit the play button or begin offload. Jumps up here and I instantly see, bang, bang, my card has been created in both my destinations. This is just a fail-safe. If you just hit bam and you're not looking in these directories, you don't know if it's going in the right spot. So this is a way, you know, if you have accidentally put in the wrong directory in here, when you do this, you'll be able to see every time you do a card and you'll know if it's right. There we just got a nice little ding. It means my offload's complete. You know, 730 megabytes, quick as. Then what I'll do as part of my offload process is I'll go into the card, see the entire card there. DCIM is where Canon stores its footage, 100 Canon, and then you can see there's all the files that were copied. Now just pretend for a sec that this is camera footage. It'll be a bunch of clips, you know, if it's Alexa, A1 clip 1, you know, A1 clip 2, A1 clip 3. Now what I like to do is I usually use just preview for playing back any clips, so I'll just hit spacebar and then you're looking at a clip. So if that was a camera footage, it would just play and then I'd scroll through checking that, and then I'd go down, and usually on this rushes card I'd work through all the clips that are on the left side of this display as a quality control check. And then I'd go into here on the backup drive and I'd go to this side, play it back, and then work my way down through the clips. When you're dealing with Alexa, you're only dealing with one folder, so I'll go back, and the 100 Canon folder in this setup is the key folder where all the data is. In Alexa, you'll have like the A001 and the camera file, you know, the camera identifier. That's what I'll use as my double check. So basically what I'll do, you know, your checksum's done and that's 99% safe. Well, more than 99% to be honest. I've never had a problem with my checksums, but I always double check myself. So what I'll do next is I'll click this window and I'll hit Apple I, get info, click this window, Apple I, get info, Command N, then navigate to my camera card, the raw camera card. I'll go to DCIM, match that same folder, Apple I, get info, close that, and I'll bring these up and I compare the bytes, the total, and the total number of items. So I go 693,521,596 and compare that here and compare that there. It matches. So I know I've done a checksum, I've done a copy, and Shotput Pro's got my back, but I'm also double checking myself here. And I check the items 160, 160, 160, and you can check the overall there. When I'm happy with that, I hit close, close, close. I go back here to my A folder, click off, eject the drive, unwrite, protect it, and it goes to the right of my file naming or my file management system from left to right. So that's now been copied, it's done. And then you go to your next card, chuck it in. Let's just pretend that this is a B camera one, got that locked off, pop it in there. And so this is going to be a B card, so I'll go back, go into my B cam folder, back into my B cam folder, change this from A cam to B cam, drag my card in, 4 gig, start copying. Watch it as it creates B1 in my rushes and my backup drive, proving that I haven't stuffed up or made a mistake in here. And then I can watch my offload go churning along here. Now this is just, if you get tired, you need to build systems into your method. So that's why I run these 2 windows to check that it's going to the right spot. And then I always double check at the end with a get info, because that way, even if you're tired, even if you've done like a 14-hour day, 4 days in a row, and your mind's cooked, and you got to wrangle data, no one's going to be there double checking you. So you need to double check yourself. So that's why these systems are built into my process, left to right. You don't have to think about it. No, that's exposed. No, that's exposed. No, that's copied. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. So, and you need to make sure you're doing the quality checks, So this one, I think there's like 1 video file on this card, so that might be a good example to show you. One other thing I'm going to run through is if you ever do transcodes for a job, I'll normally go back to this root directory of the folder, and I'll make a folder called transcodes. And I'll identify it as purple. And then inside the transcodes folder, I'll make shoot day 1 and identify that purple. So there, all my transcodes for shoot day 1 will go into that folder. And that way, what you have in here matches what you have here. And if you've got a purple tag, it's a transcode. Helps the editor, helps me. No transcodes in this, so I'm just going to can that. And I always empty my trash just to make sure it's clear. So I can go back in, Bcam. Shotput Pro's done my digital reports, so there's a text report here. And then you have another offload report, which is how it normally appears. And this is what I was referencing before. So if you've got a movie file, it'll do your first frame, last frame, and 2 middle frames, and then it gives you a whole bunch of information about the files. So I'll go in, DCIM, playback. Now if these were all videos, I would check all this left side down here. And what I'll do for each video file is I'll hit play, and I just basically watch through a little bit, scroll through, watch a little bit, check for focus, and then I always play it till the end. And when it plays till the end, you let it tick off, watching there, bam, done. And that's your quality control, you're verifying the footage. And then, DCIM, 100 Canon, check them all on that side. Then I'll go back to DCIM, and I'll get info, Apple N, navigate to the card, get info, and you double check all the bytes. Now, this is a DCIM, picked the wrong folder, that's why there's a problem there. 100 Canon, bam, bam. You can see here they all match. Sometimes you'll find that Mac creates hidden folders, and your bytes in your rushes drive and your backup drive will be slightly higher than the bytes in your raw footage, which is fine. If it's higher, I never usually worry. If it's less, then that's a red flag, and it's an item to be concerned about. So check that, all matching, check numbers, all match, close that. Go back to my root directory, well, not the root directory, but the root directory for the day. Then I eject my card and take it out, unwrite protect, put it in its case, and pop them down. SBS card reader, CFast card reader, you might have a Codex CFast reader, you might have like a Codex mag reader for the Alexa 65, or for just standard Alexa XT, SXT, all that sort of stuff, those Codex mags. Same process happens. The only thing that's different between what I just showed you then is basically the offload time isn't 18 seconds, it's usually 20 minutes depending on your drive speed and your card speed. And yeah, that's basically it. One other quick device I just wanted to show you here are these. They're called Canex The model number is KTU10, and basically it converts Thunderbolt to USB 3 and eSATA. I basically use them just to convert Thunderbolt to USB 3. I have two, so if I get a situation where production doesn't, they give me cheap Western Digital drives and they've just got USB 3, but then I've got a USB 3 card reader and I'm a bit stitched because I've got two Thunderbolt ports and two USB 3 ports. So what I'll do is I'll put this in and just treat it as a Thunderbolt to USB 3 converter, so I can put the card reader off that. And then I can use native USB 3 port for the two drives. Or sometimes I've had situations where they want three backups, so I want a rushes drive, a backup drive, and a client drive. So I'll use both of my Canex adapters, turn the Thunderbolts into USB 3, and then it's like I have 4 single USB 3 ports, and that's the way to do it. So yeah, that's a basic introduction to data wrangling. Set your windows up like this, set Shotput Pro up like this. It works. You can easily flick between. You can see everything. You know what's going on with your drives. You know what's going on with Shotput. And yeah, follow your practices, stick to it, and you will have fail-proof data wrangling. I hope you guys have found this helpful. If you have any questions or queries, reach out, let me know. I'm happy to teach you more about data wrangling. Thanks. Bye.